You can be a bad team, but you can't let that happen if you're younger, more energized. This team had too much hope to be the less energized team. So I love to hear that. What was your takeaway from what BCU had to say back to you?
I think one of the most key statements or phrases in that is, I love how the new guys, when you hear that, he's already talking about and putting a differentiation between the players that were here before and the players that are here now. And what was the biggest difference? The veterans. You look at what Bojan's doing. You look at what Alec Burks is doing. New York Knicks fans, they're like, yo, do these guys play any type of defense right now?
Are they pissed?
They're pissed.
Wow.
They think that they got a little bit fleeced, man, because, you're paying Bojan Bogdanovic not just this year, but next year, $20 million. He's still in the books for next season. Alec Burks was a player that they thought, hey, he was here before. Maybe we can re-sign him. I don't think that that's going to be the case. He's averaging under 10 points per game, and the defense is looking very, very shoddy. They got rid of a lot of the veterans, a lot of the people that Monty Williams in a lineup would love to be able to rely on, and now they brought in guys like Simone Fontecchio, who's played fabulous. You want to talk about swapping out a Knox, swapping out a Bojan Bogdanovic, swapping out an Alec Burks, and really giving those minutes to Simone Fontecchio. He's just been way more efficient. He's played a lot better defense, and he's shot the ball. He shot the lights out the ball, man, from behind the arc. And those are the types of things. When you look at Beef Stew, there were other questions asked to him as well about, do you kind of like the way that the NBA is being called right now? He's like, you know what, if they're going to let us play physical, of course I do. And he believes it has a lot to do with the players that they have right now that makes him more confident in that. And look, to take a page out of Mr. Sam Flannel Reynolds' books here, I do got some stats to back up that the Detroit Pistons are taking a step forward, man. Steals per game is up from 5.8 to 7.1 per game. That's last in the NBA to number 22 in the NBA since the trade deadline. Since the trade deadline versus the beginning of the season up until February 8th, the rebounds per game were 43.2 up to 45.8. That's number 16 in the league, up to number 5 in the NBA.
Nice.
The defensive rating, and I wrote an article about this. What's the difference between where the Orlando Magic are right now with their rebuild, relying on young players, and the Detroit Pistons? Their offensive ratings are largely the same, but the defensive rating, the Pistons were dead last in defensive rating at 122 per game.
Sheesh.
Do you guys know where they are right now, or where you think they rank in the NBA since the trade deadline?
Probably like 24th, 25th.
They rank 16th in the NBA right now since the trade deadline and defensive rating. They're down to 114.8, which is similar to what the Orlando Magic have. If they started the year like this, you're looking at a much better team.
Yeah.
Their field goal percentage, their field goals attempted, they've gone from 17th in the NBA to 5 in the NBA, which means they're getting up a few more shots per game, which is increasing their pace. And what I really liked is, these new players, not only did they help to improve what Detroit's doing on the defensive end, hustling, getting the steals, getting out on fast breaks. They look to be a faster team. They look to be more just fundamentally sound defensively. Not only did that help the defense overall, but Cade Cunningham.
Talk to me.
Since the trade deadline, and I'm telling you guys, Cade is him. His offensive rating has gone from 107.8, which was number 385 in the league, to now 120.2 offensive rating, which is number 47th in the NBA.
That's a big
This
jump.
man has had over 340 spot jump in his offensive rating since they've given this man a little bit better shooters, a little bit better defenders. He doesn't have to do as much. His usage rate, we kept saying he cannot be at a 30.0 usage rate. You need to get that down really to like 23 to 25. It is coming down now. He's at 28. It's dropped a couple points. Field goal percentage from 44% per game up to 55% per game since the trade deadline. 3-point percentage, 33.9 up to 46.2, and his rebounds jumped up about 1.5 as well. You're looking at a absolute kind of renaissance as it relates to how this team is playing. And when you look at their record over the last 8, it stinks that they're 2-6 in the last 8, because 2 of those losses could have easily been wins when you look at the New York Knicks game and when you look at the Orlando Magic's game. They could be 500. And you know who they've largely played? Playoff teams. The Phoenix Suns, the LA Lakers, the LA Clippers, the New York Knicks, the Orlando Magic, the Portland Trail Blazers. These are the teams that they've played over this stretch of games in which, realistically, if things were called the right way, you're looking at a team that's been 500 since the trade deadline. And all of the numbers are trending towards the Detroit Pistons, realistically, finally, at least at a foundational basis, doing the things that have always been the underpinnings for a successful Detroit Pistons team. It should give you a little bit more hope as it relates to where this thing is going. I get it. People want to see a little bit better out of the rotations from Monty Williams. People want to see better out of Troy Weaver. He's not resolved from criticism here. Yeah. You waited this long to be able to bring in the right types of players to surround these guys. This should have been from the beginning of the season. Mm-hmm. That's just point blank,
and
period.
It's still not complete.
Yeah, what you talking about,
and it's still
brother?
not complete.
Yeah, it's not. They got some steps to take. They have some serious steps to take, and I don't believe it's on the players any longer. When you see kind of your star, your leader in Cade Cunningham respond very favorably to the moves that have happened, it's not because now all of a sudden he say, oh, okay, let me play. No, his usage was up to 30. Yeah. He was playing. He had the ball in his hands, but when the whole entire defense says we can crash on this guy because we don't trust anybody else on his roster, then that's a problem that front office has to fix and they have to solve. And going into the next season, don't rest on your laurels. We want to see these players take a step forward in their development, but go out there and grab a couple players that you know can contribute on both ends of the floor. The guys that they traded out, you look at their defensive efficiency, it is trash compared to what they have right now. I don't know what they were looking at prior because all this stuff you can easily look up. You can easily look up. I don't know if they just thought, hey, in the offensive league, we're going to go out there and have a better offense than other teams. We'll get Bojan, Alec Burks, get some of these guys that can shoot some threes. This is Detroit, baby. That has never been how it's done. And you look at this. They made a move to improve the defense, and their offensive efficiency improved as well.
Isn't that a weird concept?
It's a weird concept,
and like you said, this isn't the finished product. This isn't the team that's going to be in the playoffs one day. But this is the foundation. Some of these players they brought in are just resetting almost the floor where they're building that culture. It's not. I'm not going to compare it to the Lions quite yet. Like that takes some time, but just in terms of developing that type of culture, that gritty mentality, that going to work Pistons mentality. Even if they're not on your roster next year, you at least need those guys like Fettuccini, like Simone Fontecchio, who can play 3 and D. Not just 3. You got to have a D.
And Simone is confident. Fast forward, boy. Simone Fontecchio and Quentin Grimes, these are two guys that are highly confident. You see them kind of walking around the gym, and you can tell these guys want to help bring this team to winning. They feel like they're wanted now. The New York Knicks kind of shelved Quentin Grimes. The Utah Jazz, in his RFA year, his restricted free agency year, just say, hey, we're not bringing you back. He's saying he wants to put down roots here. And that's what you want to hear. That's what you want to hear about the guys that are here. Not only do they want to be here, but they want to do it the way that Detroit does it as well. A couple other things. I think we got the video of Asar Thompson we could play as well.
Would love to see that.
He's trying to expand his game right now. I believe, and I've been saying this since the beginning of the year, if you want to get the best out of Asar Thompson, your number 5 draft pick, you got to get him busy in the mid-range. Earlier in the season, his shot did not look as good. It looked a lot more line drive. He has a little bit more arc to it now. He's a lot more consistent, even in practice as well. And honestly, I'm telling you guys, in the beginning of the season, it was all three-point shooting. Now they're getting him out and doing a little bit more dribble drive moves, mid-range moves. You know his pet move is when he kind of puts his back to the basket in the mid-range and he does a little turnaround. He seems to be really, really comfortable with that. But these are the types of things that he was going through yesterday. And it's really, honestly, a good thing to see.
Yeah, I love seeing him develop the mid-range. And, of course, over time in the long run, we want to see him improve his three-point shooting. But in this year one, let's just see him get comfortable making some baskets, seeing the ball go through the hoop. We've been talking football for so long over the last couple months, but you think about the difference in the levels that having a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta in the middle, needing that deep threat from Jamison Williams or any deep threat, just to spread out the field. It keeps them honest in the middle. If you need the same thing in basketball too. You need someone to control the mid-range or at least be a threat, especially someone like Asar Thompson, who's such a good cutter. He's so athletic. If he can cut, if he's just going to go to the hole every single time, you can prepare for that. You know what's coming. But if you have to worry about him catching and shooting just from the free throw line, that's one extra split second that you got to take to think. Maybe that's a flinch forward from a defender that allows him to get to the basket, or he starts making that shot at the elbow. I love to see it.